Welcome to the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania Raw review. I'm very sorry that this Raw review is a bit late. I've had several things I needed to do, but let's get to this Raw. Look, a lot of people weren't totally sure how Battleground was going to play out. Now, I did give it a pretty favorable rating because some of the things that I wanted got done. But let's be honest, Battleground was a kind of scatterbrained, because a lot of other things that were going on in there really didn't fit totally with the show. And this also carries over to this Raw. A lot of great things were done in it. We got a huge amount of stuff here to talk about, and hopefully I'll be under 15 minutes, but I'm not sure if I'm going to. I never am when the way Raw has been lately. I have not been able to stay under 15 minutes because there was too much to talk about. So let's get started here. The beginning of the show opens with Stephanie. And I was surprised that Stephanie came out. I was. Seeing Stephanie open the show makes me really feel there's something going on. And like I said in my review of Battleground, I'm going to do a debate of the week on the person that I'm going to talk about right now. And that's Stephanie McMahon. When she called out the Big Show. And Big Show basically was ordered to apologize to everyone and then grovel. And he said no. What did we get? We got Stephanie basically demeaning him, smacking his ass in the face like a bitch, and then fires his ass on nationwide TV. That was good. This shows you how good of an actress Stephanie is. She is a very appealing woman. If she wasn't married, I would love her myself. Actually, I do love her myself, but she does have God as her man, so I show respect. And I was very intrigued on what was going to happen for the rest of the show. Particularly, they said later in the night, he was ejected. So let's move on to Dolph versus Damien Sandow 2. They did double matches again. A lot of people did during the night. The thing questioning me is Cody is not dealing with Damien right now. He's dealing with Dolph. So what does that tell you? It's giving mixed signals right now. Particularly what happens later in the night with ADR, which I'll get to in a minute. But I'm getting such mixed signals, as I said about Battleground, when it felt kind of scatterbrained. I didn't state it, but some things just didn't feel right. This kind of continues it. We get a second match between Dolph Ziggler and Damien Sandow, which was actually quite good. Dolph wins again, kicking Damien's ass. But what does this mean? Does this mean that Dolph now has a chance at Damien's Money in the Bank? I don't know. This should be going to Cody, not to Dolph. Dolph should have been pushed in another way, but we didn't get that. So that's one match that's very confusing. Here's another one. This match. CM Punk and R-Truth versus Ryback and a Curtis Axel. Now, the opening up with that segment, Paulie did a good job. He put over CM Punk, he put him over himself, and he kept the tone of the feud going. But what got me is this. The match that was sparked from this little confrontation, really there was no Brad Maddox to set it up. There was no Vicky Guerrero setting it up. There was no Stephanie McMahon. One of those three was needed. It was just preempted. The ref just got into the ring and said, you're going to have a match now. Which kind of made it not feel right. Then R-Truth, before this match even came out and it got started, R-Truth comes out. He's already gotten his ass, he got his clock cleaned by Curtis Axel. Yes, what happened to him in SmackDown kind of coincides what happened in Battleground, but this doesn't make much sense. So when they had the match, the crowd at one point finally started stating boring. I mean, it wasn't a bad match. Well, not really saying boring. I'm saying this. The beginning of the match really didn't have much going into it. Not until near the end when they got CM Punk in the ring everyone was happy about it. But the person who won that was R-Truth. And that now that it leads to R-Truth getting an Intercontinental match at SmackDown coming this Friday, I know that R-Truth is not going to win this. If he does win this, this would be very dumb, because the person that should be going up against Curtis Axel, because of the way that show is going, the way this feud is going, should be CM Punk. To really hurt Paul Heyman, he has to take the gold away from one of his golden boys. So it must be Curtis Axel versus CM Punk. But if R-Truth does win that championship because CM Punk interfered, I think that's very bad storytelling. Because it just doesn't feel right. Particularly what we find out about with ADR at Hell in a Cell. And now I'm going to get to ADR. Seeing ADR early in the night talking to Vicky, saying, "Oh, mamacita, you're looking so beautiful. I still don't speak no Spanish. I know what that means because I've been told more than enough times, say this to women, you don't speak Spanish." But seeing that was a nice setup to go into the match he was going to have. And Ricardo Rodriguez was not a big surprise because of what they said with RVD. RVD, after getting his ass beaten again by ADR, no matter if it was dirty or clean, said, "You know what, I need a break. I need some time because my mind is not right." So it had to be Ricardo Rodriguez. But hearing Vicky Guerrero say at Hell in a Cell to ADR, "You are getting a John Cena in Hell in a Cell," I was shocked. The man's been gone for 2 months and now he's coming back. But then we get more shocked that an ADR got his ass cleaned by a Ricardo Rodriguez. Of course, he didn't get beaten up, but he did lose. The one who got their ass cleaned and that got their clock cleaned was simply Ricardo Rodriguez. He got his ass beaten up badly. Again, maybe it's a punishment for the way he acted because of the drug use, marijuana, whatever it was. It doesn't really matter. The problem here is that no one really cared that much about ADR without Ricardo Rodriguez. I agree with the Slick Daddy. He getting punished for what he did because of his drug problem. Even though it was weed. I believe it was weed. I don't know if it was... I believe it was weed. But the point is, they had a good opportunity with ADR facing Ricardo Rodriguez for the world title. I know it sounds very far-fetched, but it would have been very compelling TV. But we didn't get that. What we got was ADR versus RVD. And we never got anywhere. So my guess, now knowing this, is that they were going to do this for John Cena anyway. They were setting this up for him. So that's the reason why RVD could not win. That's the reason why a Damian Sandow is now facing a Cody Rhodes. This is for John Cena to face ADR at Hell in a Cell. And how do I feel about that? Simply, I'm not opposed to it. If ADR drops the strap to John Cena, that actually will be good for business. Because John Cena not being in the main title picture, but being in the main title scene with the second title of the company will still leave him relevant, and we will still have something interesting with the belt. Even though a lot of people don't like John Cena, it actually makes some sense. So I'm going to move on from that. Now, the match that could have been kept off the card for this show, and someone whose birthday should have been shown, was this. A Fandango versus a Zack Ryder that lasted maybe 2 minutes. Maybe 2 or 3 minutes. I didn't even check. Because when I found out, when they came back to commercial well before that match, that this pisses my ass off. Knowing that Bruno Sammartino was there. And he's celebrating what? His birthday during the commercial, when a Jerry the King Lawler is saying, "Everyone, happy birthday, motherfuckers, fuck you." Why wouldn't you let him be on the show? That was bullshit. Bruno Sammartino, who is the one who is the longest reigning champion they ever had, who is the most relevant man they ever had, deserved to have his birthday during the show not backstage, not during the commercial, not on the fucking app. I don't really care what happened with Fandango and Zack Ryder. I don't hate them, but it's obvious they should have never been brought out. They could have done that with Bruno Sammartino in that time, and I'm going to leave it. Now, the 6 diva tag of JoJo, Eva Marie, and Natalya versus a blondish Rosa Mendez, a Oksana, and a Alicia Fox. We had 2 women in that ring at one time that had red hair and blonde hair, and only one of them looked good. Rosa Mendez and that blonde hair don't feel right for me personally. I'm sorry. She looked better when she was a brunette. She did. If anyone believes she's better as a blonde, you tell me below. But the clothes she's wearing is better for a brunette. She should have realized when she got her hair blonded, she should have took the time to talk to the seamstress that were in the back, or whoever she goes to for her clothes, and say, look, I got this blonde hair. Help me find the right color to look good with this blonde hair. She looked like shit. I do not hate Rosa Mendez. She's a beautiful woman. But her hair with her clothes looked stupid. And it threw me off. Eva Marie, who looked so green in the fucking ring. Supposedly you see Total Divas with JoJo and her. And the one that's now being spotlighted from Total Divas looked like crap in the ring. I'm sorry. Eva Marie looked very, very green. And I know she's green. But let's be honest here. They could have switched in and out with her and JoJo. I don't know what's going on in the background, and we'll probably find that out in Total Divas. The only reason I seen it was because of my Naomi, the Sweet Cameron, and JoJo. Whenever they've shown her. Sometimes for Natalya, because I do like her. Everyone else, they can go to fuck. I don't care about them. I don't. My problem is this. You got 2 new newbies there. You only tag in Eva Marie. That's it. Either maybe JoJo was hurt. Maybe she's being punished. But you should have let her get in there and at least get her foot wet. Eva Marie looked like crap. But in the end, who won? It was Natalya over Alicia Fox. So the person who was highlighted the most here was Eva Marie. But I feel like the person that should have been equally highlighted was JoJo. We needed to see how both of them can respond in the ring with as close to professionals as we got. So I'm moving on to the Brad Maddox segments. Right afterward, Brad Maddox comes out and says, look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry this went wrong because of Big Show. It's my fault. The Maddox, the true man who runs the entire WWE, I just look bad because I want people to think I look bad. There's going to be a special ref for Hell in a Cell for Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton. And you get to choose these 3 men. HBK did a nice run. I liked his segment. It was alright. Booker T did very well as well. But the person I was hoping for that I knew wasn't going to do it, but I wanted so bad, was Mr. Bob Backlund. The one who was basically saying, choose me for president and I'll make you get you out of your recession, ladies and gentlemen. Bob Backlund, Mr. Bob Backlund was my favorite, baby. Oh, I wanted him to be voted for and he wasn't even close. Motherfucker, man. Why people can't understand that Mr. Bob Backlund is what is there. He said if they got out of land, he would put the cross-faced chicken wing on their asses, and he wouldn't. He kicked both their asses and become the WWE champion again. But they didn't do it. For those who voted not for him, fuck you. No disrespect, but you don't know how great the man is, and let's move on. Now, a repeat match again. The Great Khali and Santino Marella versus the Real Americans. And I have to say, the people are beginning to get over. I heard the people starting to say, we the people. They're starting to get over, ladies and gentlemen. As crazy as it sounds, where The trucker, Jack Swagger, has almost no character, has no charisma. He doesn't do great in the ring. He tanks, but still working with a Antonio Vizzato is getting over. Antonio's the one that's getting it over with that with the Antonio swing, as I'm calling it. That's the Cesaro swing, as now is known. It's getting over. People love seeing it. Hell, he did a better swing on Khali than he did Sunday. Oh my goodness. Khali's arms were like this, and this time he even looked more farther out from Antonio than he was before. That made that match. And he wins again. I loved it. Then he went and spun around Hornswoggle. I didn't really care that much about that. Particularly when he got the Cobra in the face. But the crowd was over for them. That was the major thing. If they weren't over, I wouldn't be this interested in Antonio Vizzato. But finally Antonio's being allowed, or he is showing more than he's been shown in a year. And I'm very interested now, and I'm very happy. Now, those Matadores, another repeat match against 3MB, but Drew was there this time. But the same thing happened. The bull comes out, Tortilla, I don't know what he's called, El Tortillas, scared everybody. Those Matadores won again, and I'm very happy. I'm sorry. It's gonna get over. These gimmicks, when they're done right, is enjoyable, and I have no problem with it. I love seeing this. We need more gimmicks. Look what Antonio Cesaro doing with the Cesaro swing. It's being done well. We have a lot more interest in the WWE. Now, what do we got here, ladies and gentlemen? Making sure I don't forget anything. Miz TV. Really? Miz TV with Wyatt. The Wyatts. Bray Wyatt. That leads nowhere. They're throwing Bray Wyatt on the... It's like throwing... They say they're throwing shit on the wall in the hopes that it will stick somewhere. So now they're putting him up against the Miz. Because they have nothing more for him to do. He has no Kane. He has no Undertaker. He has no very unusual characters to deal with. The only unusual character they could put him against would be Goldust. But Goldust is busy working with Cody. So who does Bray Wyatt have to work with? No one. So Lana's team is actually being cut from the Wyatts. They're still cutting... Well, they're still intriguing. I love them. But there's no one for him to work with. So in this, I don't feel anything useful with this. Nothing. So finally, ladies and gentlemen, the final match. Cody Rhodes, Goldust, and Daniel Bryan versus The Shield. The match was okay. I had no problem with the match. Seeing that Triple H finally showed up to sit there and make sure no problems came shows the Breakfast Club was in full effect. I had no problem with it. In the end, what did we get? 2 matches. The first one, where there was a controversy because of a chair and the DQ on The Shield. And what did the God say? He said, no, 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 no. We are now going to restart this match. No DQ. You will get a definitive winner. What do we get? A Randy Orton getting revenge after what happened with Kofi Kingston. And I'll get to that in a minute, because I want to add something to that. But in the end, after an RKO by a Randy Orton, and he's thrown into the ring and Daniel Bryan, we get the Shield winning. And then, finally, next to Cody getting beaten up, Goldust getting beaten up, we get the Big Show coming out, kicking the ass of the Shield, and then knocking out a Triple H. And then we get, We get a yes chant right afterward, and they cut the show. That was very good, but scatterbrained. Where does this lead us? Because it's confusing. And this kind of leads me into the final thing I'm going to talk about, which was Randy Orton and Kofi Kingston. You know, it's kind of sad to see this. Kofi got his ass handed to him. But Daniel Bryan came out and kicked the ass and chased the ass around of a Randy Orton. This just makes me feel very sad but very happy at the same time. We got a small guy and a Daniel Bryan and a small guy and a Kofi Kingston, and both of them basically have similar styles. And what do we get? One has risen, one had the chance to rise and got his ass handed to him. It's sad to see, but it's still good to know it happened. So how do I rate this show? It feels very scatterbrained. It wasn't totally focused, even though a lot was done. So I'm going to say this as a B-. Just a step down from a solid B. I know it may not be popular to say it, but I believe they really have too much going on, and it feels a little confusing. So I hope you enjoyed the Zane's View, and subscribe and comment to my channel. Give me a thumbs up. I'm sorry this is a little longer than normal. This was a lot to talk about. So I hope you'll watch my debate of the week that I'm going to talk about Stephanie McMahon and my thoughts about her being a possible. You'll find out.